Welcome to Awards Bait, the official Galaxy of Film award show podcast, where we ask ourselves, what's getting nominated this year? Joining me every other Tuesday is a roster of guest stars to help me answer that very question. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome back to Awards Bait, everybody. I am joined this week with Brian. You know him, you love him from Drink the Movies. And yeah, here he is. This is our guy. We got 2/3 of the Dream Squad here. We do not have Danilo with us. This was the Oscars team. This is like a mini Oscar reunion here. 2/3 of the Oscar team here. Brian, how are you doing, man?
I am doing awesome. Yeah, for sure. 2/3 of the Oscar team. I think that was the first time you and I were ever on a show together way back covering the Oscars a couple years ago. And it's very fitting because we're going to be talking about Best Actor, potential hopefuls, who we think, what we've seen, what we've not seen, because a lot of these aren't out yet. But that in particular, Oscars, was a very interesting one in terms of Best Actor because the winner might have assaulted a fellow member of the Oscar party that night. Will Smith, of course, going back to that one. So yeah, definitely excited to come on the show here, get a little Oscar hype going here as we're finally getting into full-blown Oscar season, almost. So
yeah, we're close, and I think the first big film has come out at the time of this recording. Neither of us have seen it, but it is Colors of the Flower Moon, directed by Martin Scorsese. Brian, are you excited to see it? What are your expectations for the film going into it? And what do you think it can get awards-wise?
Oh man, yeah, I'm totally excited for it. I've been excited for it since kind of they announced it. I've not read the book, but I'm familiar enough with it to know that people absolutely just salivated over the book when it came out. It was a big, huge deal. Obviously you got Martin Scorsese, Leonardo DiCaprio, and then, kind of the rest of the cast filled in here, more recently as we started to get some trailers and things for it. So as soon as I saw, the title, Martin Scorsese, Leonardo DiCaprio, and it was going to be on Apple TV. So I was like, night one watch. And then obviously they've put it out into theaters. So it's still TBD on when it's going to hit Apple. But yeah, definitely going to try to get out and see it here this week. And early reviews look great for it. Everyone that's seen it have been super high on it. So I think you're talking here, obviously, director Scorsese. I think you might have talked about that on your best director episode, the last one, maybe potentially, or a couple ago. Obviously, you have the actors here, Lily Gladstone, supposed to be, spectacular in it. I'm assuming, you have Robert De Niro, John Lithgow in here, so potentially some supporting actor categories too. This just looks like it has all the makings for a whole either a crazy sweep winning like 7-8 Oscars, or it's going to be one of those things where it just somehow gets overlooked for all those things. But I think it's going to be pretty spectacular. I'm really looking forward to it.
I agree, man. I think and it's funny you mentioned that, where you're like, it could get 7 or 8, or it can get absolutely nothing. Because I honestly kind of feel the same way, where it's like, it can go one of two ways. Like, I don't know if this gets like a handful. Like, I feel like it's like, yeah, but it's either going to sweep everything or it's going to just not happen. And I think it really is. I think it's this, and I think it's this. I think it's Oppenheimer, and I think it's Poor Things. I think those are your 3 big movies this year that you need to kind of for, because like those have gotten the most acclaim, gotten the most buzz. And I think they're just the best set up package wise for the awards race. Like, I feel like all 3 of those have a really great like Oscars story behind them. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's your three horse race there, with a potential, dark horse here and there. But I mean, yeah, it really is. I feel like this year, I feel like we say this every year, but like this year for me, I haven't seen a lot of this stuff yet. So I feel like, it's so hard to predict this year for me. Like, I honestly, the only category I kind of feel like I know what's going to happen is Best Supporting Actor. And I feel like that's every year. Like, I feel like Best Supporting Actor, it's always like, yeah, like these are your 5. Like, and then it's pretty much that. Like, it's usually that. And then there's like 1 or 2 shockers every year. But like, I feel like Supporting Actor is the only one I've kind of like got. Like, the Best Actor is totally wide open. And I think in years past, that, like you mentioned earlier with the Will Smith thing, I think in years past, like the best actor race, for whatever reason, I really don't know why, best actor race is always like stiff competition. Like it's
Hmm.
tough to be one of those five actors in there. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I do think that we do have two locks right now. I think that we have two that
Hmm.
we know are going to get in there, and we can talk about those two guys in a second here. But Brian, do you have any that maybe could sneak in there? Like I think we both know the two. I'm just gonna say it: Killian Murphy and Leo. I think they're both going in. Like I think those
Yeah,
are locked. But do you have
yeah, I
any
think.
that you maybe don't you're not totally sure about, but maybe keep an eye on?
Yeah, I think those are definitely kind of locks here,
Yeah.
and that I think you could maybe almost go ahead and throw Bradley Cooper into that for Maestro. I
Okay.
think is probably another one that is probably a pretty safe bet, and then from there it gets a little fuzzy because there's a lot of really great actors coming out in really interesting projects. But like you mentioned, Jake, we haven't been fortunate enough to see most of these now. One that wasn't on my radar at all until just recently, when the film started hitting some of the film festivals, is Adam Driver for Ferrari. It's supposed to be excellent. I knew very little about that until like last week, and people started seeing it and saying how good it was. So I think something like that. I'm really looking forward to seeing Jeffrey Wright in American Fiction.
Hmm.
I love Jeffrey Wright as an actor, so I'm interested to see that. He's gotten a little bit of buzz, and same kind of for Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers.
Yeah.
Are another couple that are pretty good, on the way here within the next couple of weeks. So we'll be able to start, kind of sorting this out a little bit more. But yeah, I think yeah, Bradley Cooper and Killian Murphy and Leo are the big hitters here. Now Killian's the only one that I've seen so far this year. Probably the other best acting performance, and I've seen this name on a couple of lists as kind of a long shot, and I definitely agree with that. But one of the acting performances I was pretty high on this year was Matt Damon in Air, which came out
Mm.
way early in the year, and that was kind of tops for me. But really we haven't seen seen any of these people yet to really understand kind of what's going to make these tick, and you know then once we've seen them all, then it's going to be, kind of up to what exactly was it about the performance, that we liked and kind of separated them. Because you have, obviously, Killian Murphy and Oppenheimer, this big, kind of expansive cast, and it's almost the same, at least, kind of the vibe I'm getting for Leo and
Yeah.
Killers of the Flower Moon, kind of these big ensemble pieces. So is it going to be that? Is it going to be something, more artsy coming out, like Ferrari from Neon? So yeah, I don't know.
No, I agree with you. I also think like I'm interested to see like what else comes out because it's like I feel like I mean look we've been talking and you're I think you're the first person to mention Air. This has been this is the
Mm-hmm.
third of this podcast and I have yet to mention Air. That is such an overlooked film, but I definitely think that
Yeah.
can sneak in there. Like that like has the chance to do a lot of things. Because I think enough people really enjoyed Air to get it in there
Hmm.
because I feel like again Air's like one of the few movies that we've seen because it's like
Right.
it
Sure.
came out in April. And I think the argument of like a lot of the time it depends on what kind of movie you are, but like last year with Everything Everywhere all at once, it came out in like March and it just stuck around and it won
Right.
Best Picture.
Hmm.
In certain cases, certain argument of it came out too early, it's going to get overlooked is kind of going away because it's like great movies come out all the time now, and it's super interesting to see. Like a Dune Part Two that comes out in March. Do we have any doubt that that's not going to carry over to next year's? Like I'm
Right.
sure
Yeah.
that's going to get in there still. Like no matter when that movie comes out, that'll be a Best Picture nominee. So
For sure.
I feel like it's interesting to bring up Air because you're right. Like I definitely think like that movie was like a genuine like good time. Like I feel like everybody was like, I mean,
Hmm.
it didn't like break the mold or anything, but it was like it was good and people enjoyed it and people felt good about it and it was just like a very like harmless movie where it's like this was enjoyable and it's a feel good film. You got just couple it's a simple story and I think that's like
Hmm.
digestible right now and I feel like people want to see stuff like that, so I think Eric could I really do think people might be sleeping on Air, especially if other awards uh, contenders aren't hitting. I feel like Air could
Hmm.
just carry over, especially Viola
Yeah.
Davis. Viola Davis is still like on my list there for supporting. Like I thought she was really good in that. But
Hmm.
yeah, for best actor, um, I agree with you. Oppenheimer, Cillian Murphy and Leo. It's them. Bradley Cooper. I do think is also going to be in there for Maestro. Um,
Hmm.
I think look out for. I just heard about this when doing research for this show. Actually, Anthony Hopkins as Sigmund Freud in Freud's Last Session.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
that could come out and just wow everybody. You never know. Um,
Yeah, for sure. It definitely could. I hadn't heard anything about it, but
no,
of course um it's Anthony Hopkins, right? And he won the award just a couple years ago
yeah,
for pretty much the last thing that he did. So
right,
that looks great. That one's coming out I think December the 7th, so the first week of
yes,
December, so a little over a month to wait for that. The other one neither of us mentioned here, the other one that's on my radar to either uh really kind of knock it out of the park, or kind of go the way of Ridley Scott's last couple that had all this hype going into it, is
yep,
Joaquin Phoenix, right? For Napoleon. That's either going to be it's either going to be massive, or just a complete not a bomb, but just kind of miss the mark.
yeah,
Like his last couple of films there, The House of Gucci and
yep. Last
the night
duel,
one, The Last
yeah,
Duel. Yeah. Had all the buzz, had all the lookings of these big Oscar contenders, and then just completely kind of missed the mark on those. So I'm really interested to see that, just to see if Ridley Scott kind of gets it back into that zone. And of course, Joaquin Phoenix is amazing, so should be
right.
great. So
I mean, yeah, I forgot about Joaquin actually. Yeah, I mean, he could also be one that sneaks in there, especially with his track record and his,
mhm.
he won a couple. And I also want to talk about this one is not going to happen, but I just recently saw the trailer for this in theaters. Nicolas Cage in this movie called Dream Scenario. This looks
Yeah.
like such a good time. I love the premise, and this jumped up on my watch list. I don't think he will get in there, but I really think it looks great, and I think he might be great in it. So maybe
Mhm.
this is another one of those like pig movies, or like
Right.
what was the last one he did where everybody loved it? Pig,
Oh,
Mandy, like a bunch of
he did
stuff,
that.
right?
He did like the Nicolas Cage one
Right, yeah,
with
that's
Pedro
the one.
Pascal, right? Yeah.
Unbearable weight of
So
massive talent. Maybe this can be one
yeah.
of those stepping stones where it's like, this year he did Dream Scenario and it's like, his uncut gems or something. And then everybody's like,
Mhm.
hey, I'm taking him seriously again. Let's look at him next year and then see what he's got coming out. I feel like that can be
He's
one of those things for him where it's like maybe next year he gets in for something, but maybe not.
yeah.
I don't know.
He's going to hit onto something that they just can't like ignore, and then it's going to
No.
be like a Jamie Lee Curtis situation where people are like, just give it to the man.
Yeah.
We love Nicolas Cage. We love making fun of Nicolas Cage, but secretly loving all the things that he's done, and
Oh, that would be
talking
great.
about how crazy he is. It would be worth it to give him the award just to hear the acceptance speech, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, keep an eye on that one. At the very least, it looks entertaining, and I think he's going to do
Mhm.
great in it. But
Yeah.
maybe that's the win, is that it's actually a good movie. That would be fun, and it's A24, so come on, it's going to be great.
There you go.
Um, I also have. It looks like I haven't seen the film yet. I think it's out now though. I think it's on Prime. Jamie Foxx in The Burial. Apparently, he's fantastic in that.
Oh, okay.
Haven't seen
Hmm.
it. And Zac Efron in The Iron Claw. I haven't.
Yeah.
The trailer recently came out, but I have not seen that yet. But yeah, I mean that could also be something that hits. Everybody loves another A24 one,
Hmm.
where everybody kind of loves that story of like this guy. I mean, Zac Efron's been doing like pretty good work for a while now, so I think he's kind of broken out of that like Disney mold. But
Hmm.
just to see
Yeah.
him do something so different, with Jeremy Allen White and all those other guys in that movie, um, that could be. And I've heard, I don't know a lot, but I think a lot of the people with Galaxy of Film here know a lot about the true story, and it's apparently devastating. So maybe there
Hmm.
is some potential there for some really great acting moments from Efron and everybody else in it. So that's one to keep an eye on. I don't know much about that. I know it's like a wrestling thing, but I don't know much about it. But maybe keep an eye
Hmm.
on Efron. You never know.
Yeah, and there's another kind of wrestling adjacent one. I think that's on Amazon Prime as well. Now it's already out, called Cassandro. I've
Oh,
seen this one on some lists. It's Gail Garcia Bernal is
okay.
the lead actor in that. It's supposed to be excellent. That was I noticed that one on kind of the short list I was looking at today on
Yeah.
Variety, which is where I kind of earmark all my things to watch. So
Hmm.
that's out now. Could be something to check out there too.
Agreed. Yeah. And then the last one I have here is Coleman Domingo. We love him. He's a
Mm,
great
hmm
actor.
hmm
This movie coming out called Rustin on Netflix. I I'm I'm concerned because I feel like a lot of these Netflix awards movies, they get a lot of buzz and they get a lot of people talking at first, but then they just fizzle out and then it's gone. So I'm worried that's going to happen to him. I hope it doesn't because he looks
Yeah.
good and it looks like a real awards baity movie. And I think that's not like a diss at all. But it looks like it's going for gold, and I really think it looks like it deserves gold. So once that comes out, we'll see. But I'm hearing great things from him in that movie, and I Coleman Domingo's in like four awards contenders this year. I think
Yeah.
he's in like that. He's in The Color Purple. Um, he's got something. I think he just had something premiere at a film festival that's coming out next year. So it's like, oh, keep an eye on him for
Okay.
this, and it's like, whoa, like, and apparently he's fantastic in that. So this dude's knocking it out of the park. So keep an eye on Coleman Domingo just for multiple different projects. He might get double nominated. He might get Rustin and Color Purple supporting actor.
And Color Purple, yeah. Yeah,
That's
if
crazy.
if Color Purple ends up coming out this year, that's going to change a lot of conversations, I think, late in the year. I don't know if they've confirmed yet if it's still going to come out this year or not. So I'll have to wait
Yeah.
and see on that one. But that one comes out pretty quick, and like you said, the Netflix stuff
Yeah.
is, kind of like blink and you miss it, or sometimes not even that. Like you don't even know that it came out, right? If it doesn't hit
No.
like that top five like trending things, then you might not ever even know that it existed.
Yeah.
They are doing a much better job though, because that is going to be in theaters on November the 3rd and then
Mm.
hitting Netflix on November 17th. So it'll at least have like this 2 week window where people will be talking about it
Yeah.
up to the release on Netflix. So hopefully get some eyes on it for sure. But yeah, it looks incredible. He is fantastic, and looking forward to seeing him in all of those things for sure. So
Agreed. Yeah. I think like I really hope Netflix goes with a semi, like, I know, like, keep it a limited release because I know that they just want to qualify for that Oscars window, but like
mhm.
release it in more than like three theaters. It's like I want to see some of
Right.
these in theaters. Like it sucks. Like you can't, and it's gone, and then it's on Netflix in 2 weeks, and it's like, all right, everybody's already forgotten about it now because it came out 2 weeks ago, and the people that live in like LA and New York have seen it because it premiered there. And it's like it's
Right.
it's
Yeah.
gone. Um, Another Netflix one that we can kind of turn to that is kind of going away. Actually, you know what? We'll talk about this person has two movies coming out. Michael Fassbender for The Killer and also Next Goal Wins. What do you think
Oh,
of him?
okay.
What do you think of his chances there?
I think Michael Fassbender is great. I don't know that he's probably ever going to get the buzz of any of these people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just I don't from previous history and kind of the things that he's in. The soccer film, that one looks really good. I think I'm not as familiar with Killers, but I've
Hmm.
heard good things. I think you guys have talked about it on a couple of these awards bait shows. So
Yeah.
definitely something I'm going to have to check into. And yeah, like you said, like if they're on Netflix, you may or may not have ever heard of them. But Netflix is having a great year, right? Or Rustin, we just talked about these two.
Yeah.
Maestro, that's a Netflix one,
Hmm.
as well. So I mean, they're really getting it. I hope maybe they kind of learned a lesson last year when they did the Knives Out in the theater for like the month, and saw that
Oh my
that was
God.
a viable thing to do. So
Yeah, that was nuts because I don't even think it was a month. It was like a week. It was like one
yeah,
week, and then
it was pretty quick.
it was like, and then again, like I said, it came out on Netflix and it didn't trend or anything because people saw it in theaters. Like they were like, keep it in
Right.
theaters. Like it could have made a lot of money. Like and it did for that week.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah,
but
because I think they did it for a week, and
yeah,
then like if you didn't see it that week, then you couldn't see it for like 3 more weeks until
that's what it was.
like
Yeah,
Christmas Day or whatever when it released on Netflix. So
it came out the week of Thanksgiving and then it hit Netflix the week of Christmas. So it's like a
yeah,
month there where it's like, and then it goes silent and it's like it's out for a week. People go see it, talk about it, love it, rave about it, and
yeah,
then everybody's like, all right, I'll keep that in mind. And then it's Christmas and then everybody's shopping and doing their thing, watching other things, and Avatar's coming out and all this stuff. And it's like, and then Knives Out is completely evaporated from the conversation. So I hope that Netflix has learned from that too, and I hope that they think about it a little bit, and also like keep it around, like just and that Hitman movie as well with
Hmm.
Glenn Powell. We talked about that a lot on the show here. It looks it. I've heard great things about it, but is Glenn Powell going to get acting buzz for that? Probably not, because it's like
Yeah.
Netflix has to campaign for so many different movies this year where it's like, do we go with Fassbender for the killer over here, or do
Hmm.
we go with Coleman Domingo for Rustin? Do we go with Bradley Cooper? Like it's like they don't have the money to do that. So I don't think all
Right.
five of these contenders could possibly be like Netflix, and it's not going to happen. So you got to cut some out. And I
Yeah.
do think like Fassbender's out, and I think Glenn Powell's probably not there. I don't know if Glenn Powell ever was there, but it's like it kind of cuts the legs off of any potential for Glenn Powell to be there.
Yeah, there's no way they're going to run like five marketing
No,
campaigns, and that's not even looking, at actress or any supporting
right?
categories or director or anything like that. You assume it's going to be Maestro. That's the one that's been getting the most buzz this whole
It's
year.
the big
Bradley
one.
Cooper can kind of market himself, based on his career's worth of work. But yeah, Netflix doesn't strike me as the kind of people that are going to throw a bunch of money at something. They're not going to do an Apple and be like, hey, here's like $1 billion to promote Coda the last week before Oscar
Yeah,
voting. So
totally. To kind of give you like a final little my top five is I would say it's probably going to be Leonardo DiCaprio, Killian Murphy. I do think Jeffrey Wright will sneak in there just because that was our first episode on this show was when American Fiction just kind of came out of nowhere and like
mm,
took the top audience prize at don't remember what film festival it was. I think it was TIFF, and like that's like a big predictor. And I think I can't remember if the what the actual statistic was, but I think every year since 2008, with the exception of 2011, the winner of that audience award has gone on to be nominated for Best Picture. So
good.
the odds are in American Fiction's favor to be in Best Picture. So that's a good sign. So with that, I do think Jeffrey Wright could sneak in there. I also have Bradley Cooper, and I think ultimately Coleman Domingo gets in. Although I do think Paul Giamatti might be too good to pass up. Um,
Yeah.
so I have that like Coleman Domingo is like maybe. It really depends on the performance of that movie, I think, where it's like it depends on how long it sticks around, depends on how many people talk about it. Because the holdovers, I think, looks. I'm so excited to see that film. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm very, and Ferrari looks awesome too. But like, to have just five, like, look, listen to all the people we just talked about. Like, and then there's a guy
Right.
I don't even know this movie, All of Us Strangers, and it's Andrew Scott. I don't even
Andrew
know
Scott.
who
Yeah.
that is, but he's got a lot of buzz. It looks like because he's on all these lists.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. It's a
yeah.
Searchlight film. Those always do really well.
Oh yeah, and
Um,
it's
come
crazy.
Oscar time. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy to think that like you know Joaquin Phoenix is like not in the top five. It's like that's
Not
how
a,
good this year is looking for Best Actor. So I don't know. We'll see. But do you have any like closing remarks or like a final top five here?
No, well, we probably would have been talking about Austin Butler. We're not going to because I think they
Oh
they went
yeah,
ahead and delayed that Bike Riders. They pushed that back, I think. So,
that's a
that's
great. Yeah,
potentially going to be out of the thing. They could release it right at the last minute if they think that there's going to be a window there. But yeah, I think kind of my top five or most likely five at least right now are probably Bradley Cooper, Cillian Murphy, Leonardo DiCaprio. I think probably Jeffrey Wright. I really hope so. That looks great.
yeah.
Um, and then yeah, you said Coleman Domingo. It could be him, could be Paul Giamatti, but I don't know. Something tells me Anthony Hopkins is
I
going to sneak his way in there
he did
and
he.
cause some buzz because you know Cillian Murphy, Bradley Cooper, Leonardo DiCaprio. These are these big pieces, and Cillian Murphy. We should probably have talked about him a little bit because that was the only
Yeah,
movie of these that we've actually seen.
that's a good point.
Um, he's he's brilliant in it, right? And you look at it, but then I guess if you're voting on these things, are you looking at it and be like he's brilliant or he's brilliant because he was in a scene with with Emily Blunt or Robert Downey Jr. or Florence Pugh or so he had
Yeah.
all of these other accompanying pieces to it. So does that dig him a little bit? I don't know. So
I hope not, because I really felt like Cillian Murphy was doing so much with like on the surface a little. You know what I mean? Like it's
Hmm.
like that dude can just like he's thinking and it's just everything is in his eyes. And I think that's so like rare in an
Yeah.
actor to see that because it's like you can see like you can see the gears turning in the scene. Like and I think that's so cool the way he was able to capture that. But
Sure.
again, like to your point where it's like is it just the score that's making you think that because it's so chaotic and it's like it sounds like everything that's going on in his head and
Right. Yeah.
is it the cutting to the atoms and all the crazy stuff going on with that like you know, it's a lot of I mean, but I suppose that's kind of what makes the performance even better, right? Is these other
Right. Sure.
thematic
Yeah.
elements coming around to enhance you and lift you up. So I thought that was brilliant. He is like my pick. I think he should win. I really thought he was incredible.
Mhm.
And from what I hear about Flower Moon and Leo's not like I mean, he's always fantastic, so no doubt, but like
Right. Sure.
there's nothing new there, I suppose, maybe, where it's just like it's just
Hmm.
Leonardo DiCaprio and he's killing it like always. So maybe why would we award him for that? But it's like I think Cillian Murphy like he's done his time. He's fantastic. He's been great for years. He finally got his chance to lead a film, and he just took it and ran. So I mean, he would be my pick. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned Austin Butler for the Bike Riders. What about Jonathan Majors for Magazine Dreams? Right, that
Oh, sure. Yeah.
like that's what's gonna happen with that movie. Who knows? I don't even think I've heard
Right.
about it. It was one of those like hot Sundance movies in January. Another
Hmm.
Sundance film that I really loved, and I was saying this like a year ago when I saw it. It's out on Netflix now, and again, nobody's talking about this movie anymore because it came
Yeah.
out last week. Is Alden Ehrenreich in Fair Play? I thought
Oh, sure. Yeah.
he was fantastic in that movie, and I really thought like he's been doing a lot of like not that his career was in bad shape, but I think the solo thing kind of digged him for a while where it's like,
Yeah.
people were kind of like, oh, it's and he couldn't get work. And I was like, I thought he was a good Han Solo and I enjoyed Solo.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah, like I thought it was good and just to see like all to not have much of a career after Solo, it was kind of a bummer
Hmm.
because it felt like they were kind of like placing the blame on him for that. And it's like, and now
Yeah.
that's part of why we don't see recasting anymore with Star Wars and
Right.
things like
Yeah.
that. So I feel
Yeah.
like it
For
all
sure.
started there.
Yeah. Exactly. Because that was like one of the big takeaways from people in Oppenheimer. They're like, "Hey, the Han Solo guy
Yeah.
is really good, actually."
Yeah, and he's even better in Fair Play. Like, I mean, because he carried that's him and I can't remember the actress's name, but the woman from Bridgerton, the two of
Mhm.
them, that's their movie. Like it's them just fighting. It's very much like Marriage Story. It's that one scene in Marriage Story where Adam Driver's just flipping out on Scarlett and Scarlett's going back
Mhm.
and I'm like when they're fighting, it's that for the movie. And it's like
Okay.
they're
Okay.
they're constantly at a 10 and it's like to keep that and to make you just like feel like it's a real like it feels like uncomfortable. You're
Mhm.
like I shouldn't be watching them argue about this stuff. Like it's so
Right.
uncomfortable.
Yeah. Hmm.
So to kind of evoke that emotion, I thought was fantastic as well. And but yeah, it's on Netflix now and it's gone and nobody's talking about it anymore.
No one knows.
So
Yeah.
no, so it's like you'll see the clips on Twitter of everybody like, dang, like Alden Ehrenreich's killing it in this scene, and then it's like
Yeah.
that's what that movie is now. And it's unfortunate, but he was up there for me. I think Alden Ehrenreich should go on to have a really great Cocaine Bear, uh, Oppenheimer and Fair Play. That dude's
Yeah.
on a good streak. I like him. I think
That's a good
he
year. That's a good year.
he yeah, he deserves a shot again. I think he should maybe not jump into some billion-dollar movie, but like keep doing these kind of like
Mhm.
career building films where like you're showcasing yourself as an actor and you're kind of advocating for yourself. I think he should go on to do a lot. And I was very big on that in January when I saw that and I was like please keep an eye on him because I really thought he was great. And then to see him show up in Oppenheimer, like we were talking about, was just like
Mhm.
there he is in a big movie now, like in a huge movie. It was
Yeah.
it was great.
Yeah, holding his own. I rattled off, four of the 800, A-list actors that are in Oppenheimer, and
Yeah.
he's there, holding his own in
Oh
every
yeah.
every
He's
bit of way. So
he's going toe to toe. He's got the best like oh damn moment to Robert Downey Jr., who's probably
yeah,
gonna win for best supporting actor, and like he has a moment where he's like upstaging him, and I thought that was
Yeah,
great. Um,
yeah, it's amazing. Yeah,
he might be in Robert Downey Jr.'s Oscar clip, which is great. Like
yeah,
that's so cool.
for sure.
But yeah, I mean, I think that about does it for the episode here. Do you have any
Mm-hmm.
closing statements, any plugs, anything you want to do?
Just to close here on Best Actor for this year. This year is going to be a mess of trying to figure out who's going to win this award. Last year, we always knew it was going to be Brendan Fraser. There was never
That's
anyone else that
true.
was going to win it, probably. This year, it could be like, we talked about, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 people, and there's probably like 15 more that we didn't talk about that are also probably just as
I
likely to
know.
win it. So it's going to be nuts. So yeah, buckle up out there for this year's Oscars. It's going to be a weird one anyways, but it's going to be it'll be interesting for sure. To plug my stuff, let's see. So Drink the Movies, that's my podcast I got going over there, where we talk about movies most of the time. We've been covering albums now during the strike to kind of
Nice.
step away from movies for just a little bit. So doing that, but then closer to Oscar time, we always do like our big Oscar pool and stuff like that. So that'll be a lot of fun. You can find Drink the Movies wherever you're listening to this right now. So go ahead and check that out if you want. And that's going to be a good time. And you can check out the Old Republic podcast. That's my Star Wars podcast we got going over there, mostly Knights of the Old Republic stuff. So that's what I got going on for myself. So Jake, thanks for having me on. This has been a ton of fun. Getting back together to talk some Oscars here, a little hypothesizing, and making sure that my watch list is ready. Every February I just have like 60 movies to watch.
I
So
know. Yeah, me too. I got to make sure I'm on top of it this time. But yeah, no, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a blast. It's always a blast. You're a great friend of Galaxy of Film, and we appreciate you coming on. Yeah, I mean, that about does it for the episode. Thank you so much for joining me. And you can find all of our stuff on Galaxy of Film on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, X, I should say. All of the social media platforms at Galaxy of Film. Look forward to Novex, I believe. I don't know if it's been announced, so I won't announce the release date, but Novex has wrapped shooting. So it will be out very soon. Look forward to that. Look forward to some promo material coming very soon. You guys can find me at Jakey Lemon on Instagram and all of the other things. And yeah, to echo Brian's sentiments, it's going to be a crazy year for Best Actor, as it always is, especially if these actors can't campaign and maybe can't even go to the Oscars. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening once again. And we'll see you guys next time with Best Actress. So thank you guys. Have a good one, and bye.